What is going on, y'all? Xavier here, and today I'm back with another Make Academy lesson. If you're just joining us, I'm documenting my journey from complete beginner to running my own AI business. I'm following a 3-phase plan to get me there, but it all starts with mastering workflow automation. That's why we're speeding through these lessons. We just started the intermediate section. In the last video, we learned how to iterate arrays into bundles. Today, we're going to be covering Unit 3 of this course. We're learning how to aggregate arrays from bundles. But without further ado, let's jump into today's lesson. All right, so Unit 3, aggregating an array from bundles. Let's just jump right into this. Unit Introduction. Welcome to the third unit of the Introduction to Iterators and Array Aggregators course. By now, you have built your own array using parse.json and iterated an array into bundles. This unit will introduce a new tool, the Array Aggregator. I'm going to click Next. Aggregating an array. In the previous course, an Introduction to Aggregators, aggregation was defined as combining multiple bundles into a single bundle. The exercises used the text and numeric aggregators to create a new string and number, respectively. This unit will demonstrate how to aggregate multiple bundles into a single array. Additionally, it will show you how to create an array containing only specified information. Let's think of this in a real-life example. Imagine you want to cook a soup and you have a lot of different ingredients in your kitchen. Fruit, vegetables, meat, cheese, etc. From all of these, you would select only specific ingredients to put into the pot and cook your soup. So yeah, we learned about aggregators a little bit. Actually, no, we learned a good amount about them and how to use them in our scenarios, but now we're gonna be aggregating some arrays. So let's click Next. Use case. In the upcoming exercise, you will learn how to use an array aggregator in your scenario to extract the information that you need. Let's expand on the scenario from the previous unit. You are planning a party and you want to know the number of people who are attending and their dietary preferences, so you know how much food to buy and what to prepare. Think of each invite response as one bundle. You have 3 party invitation responses. This therefore equals 3 bundles. You can use the array aggregator to create one bundle. Think of this as your shopping list. Additionally, you will add a text aggregator so you can see the array and text aggregators side by side. So we can click Next. Aggregator activity. We got 6 slides here. Start by creating a new scenario named Make Intermediate 1-3. Add a parse.json module. You'll use the same JSON from the previous 2 units. Access this by copying and pasting here, or click here to open a link to a template of this data. Add an iterator. This is the same setup as the first few stages of the previous unit. Right-click the parse.json module and click Run this module only. All right, so let's just create this new scenario, add this parse.json module, and then add an iterator. And then we also are going to right-click the parse.json module and run that module only. So I'm going to just click this to copy the JSON, create a new scenario. First module is going to be the parse.json. I'm going to paste the JSON string from the last scenario, save that, add the iterator and flow control, second option, and then we're going to right-click to run this module only. Save anyway, and now we have our bundle with our guest information. I'm just going to save this, and then we can move forward. 1-3, just like that. Save our scenario, and we're good to go. I'm gonna click Next slide. Open the iterator and map all guests. Remember, the purpose of the iterator is to take the single bundle and split it into multiple bundles. Click Run once and run anyway when prompted with a transformer should not be the last module in the route prompt to see the result. You'll see that your 3 collections from a single bundle turn into 3 separate bundles. All right, so we're mapping all guests and running the scenario so that we can iterate the array that we have in the parse.json. So let's do that. Inside the iterator, click in this array area and just map all guests. Just like that. Save the scenario, and then we will run once. Boom, just like that. Now we have our output showing 3 separate bundles with each of the guests' information and preferences. All right, cool. Now we can click Next slide. As this exercise aims to show the text and array aggregators side by side, let's add a router to your iterator. The router is designed to send the bundle to different modules. The next step is to add an array aggregator to the top route. All right, so we're adding a router after the iterator, and then we're adding a array aggregator on the top part of the router. So we can split the information into two different directions. So in our scenario here, we'll add another module inside flow control. We have our router at the bottom, and then on this top new route, we are going to also go into flow control and add our array aggregator. Boom, just like that. Remember to save your scenario, and I'll click next slide. Open the array aggregator. Under source module, select iterator. This means the data being aggregated is the output by the iterator, rather than the data from parse.json. Under aggregated fields, you will see the variables available from each module. The iterator allows you to select the total number of bundles. The parse.json module only has all guests as an aggregated field. Select name and dietary preference. This is the only information you need for the aim of this exercise. Click OK to save the module mapping. Okay, so in this slide, they want us to go into our array aggregator. Under source module, we are going to select the iterator. And under aggregated fields, we are selecting name and dietary preference as filters. So pretty simple. We'll just go into our scenario, array aggregator, source module is going to be the iterator. And in the aggregated fields, we are going to select name and dietary preference. Save those settings and save the scenario. Now we can click the next slide. Next, add a text aggregator to the second route. This module was covered in the last course of an introduction to aggregators and make basics. Under source module, select iterator, toggle show advanced settings, and for row separator, select new row. Click in the text field and map name dietary preference from the iterator items. All right, so in this slide, we are adding a text aggregator. Under source module, we're putting iterator, and then we need to show advanced settings so we can add new row for our row separator. And then we're mapping the name and dietary preference from the iterator items. Okay, yeah, in this example, it shows us what we're doing, just adding the text aggregator from the tools in the second route. Source module is going to be iterator, and you got to turn on the advanced settings to put new row. And then in the text, we're going to put the green name, a dash, and then dietary preference. So let's go do that. Go to our scenario. On the second route, we have our tools, and then we have to go down to text aggregator. Source module is going to be iterator, advanced settings, so we can put the row separator as new row. And then in this text box, we are going to map our name from the iterator and put a dash, and then put dietary preference. Boom, just like that. Save it and save the scenario. All right, now we can move on. Finally, create a filter between the iterator and router, as the aim of this exercise is to identify which event guests have dietary preferences. Map the dietary preference in the condition field. Set the text operator as not equal to, type none in your field, and click OK. This will pass bundles that contain dietary preferences other than none. For example, vegetarian or vegan. Give this a label of if none and save your scenario. Let's explore the outputs. Okay, so now we're going to put a filter in between the iterator and router by right clicking, I think, or is it left clicking? Oh, well, you can do both. Left click just pulls up this tab automatically. If you right click, you can select add a filter. In the condition field, we are mapping dietary preference. Text operators is going to be changed to not equal to, and in the field below that, we're going to type none. We're labeling this if none, and save it. So now this filter is basically saying if the dietary preference is not equal to none, then it will pass through the filter. So basically, if there is a dietary preference for whatever is coming through the filter, then it will be passed through. If there is no dietary preference, then it will not be passed through the filter. I will save this and then see what they want us to do. I can click next now. Run your scenario. Let's look at the results for this scenario. Click run once and run anyway when prompted with any alerts. As covered in an introduction to aggregators, this prompt appears because nothing is happening with the transformed data. Make expects the data from these two modules to be used elsewhere, for example, inserted into a Google Sheet or sent via email. However, as part of this exercise is about viewing data, click run anyway. All right, so let's run our scenario real quick. Run once, run anyway. And cool, we didn't get any errors. Awesome. And now I'm gonna click explain flow so we can see the path our data is taking. Goes to the iterator, separates, and then goes to the router if it passes through the filter, and then goes to whichever one the module is requesting of the data. I think I said that right. So yeah, you can see that explain flow helps a lot now that we have a little bit more of a complex scenario here. And this way we are able to see exactly what's happening to our information and where it's going. You know, if it's going in the right places, it's doing what we want it to do, etc. So let's go back to our course. And we have a few bubbles we can click on. I'm gonna start with this JSON module. As covered in the previous 2 units, the parse JSON module will create a single bundle. This bundle contains an array containing 3 collections. Each collection is 1 invite response. Okay, now I'm gonna click on Iterator. The single bundle is iterated into 3 separate bundles with the iterator. Okay, then we have our filter. The iterated bundles are passed through a filter. As 2 bundles meet the filter criteria, 2 bundles have been passed through. The 2 bundles are then passed to the router, where they will be sent to the array aggregator and the text aggregator. Note that when a bundle passes through the router and filter, these actions do not consume credits. We knew that. All right, now we have our array aggregator at the top. The array aggregator has created a new array using properties selected in the module, name and dietary preference. This has produced an array which contains 2 collections instead of 3. Summary: you have aggregated an array from bundles and have extracted specific items, name and dietary preference, to form your new array. So with the array aggregator, we were able to take specific information from the collection that we got from separating the array, and we can extract certain information. And now finally, we can go to our text aggregator at the bottom. The text aggregator has created a text string based on the fields that you have mapped, name and dietary preference. The iterator has sent 3 bundles toward the router, and 2 bundles have passed through the filter. Therefore, 2 lines of information have been output by the text aggregator module as a string. Summary: you have created a text string from bundles and have extracted specific items, name and dietary preference. So yeah, as you can see, this text aggregator and the array aggregator. So I thought with this filter, maybe because this is a capital N, it was supposed to filter out this second order because it's listed as none in dietary preference. So maybe it was because it was capital. I'll try running it again and see if we get the same mistake. Yeah, okay, so see, now this time we didn't get the dietary preference that said none. So that's nice to know. If the information that you're trying to filter isn't spelled the same, even if it's like just the capitalization, it seems like it's going to let that pass through the filter. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you know what you're filtering and it's actually filtering what you want it to. All right, cool. So now I'm gonna click next. How are the text aggregator and array aggregator different? Both of these methods have achieved the desired output from the earlier aim, to create a shopping list based on dietary requirements, but the output and potential usage is entirely different. Let's compare the uses side by side. All right, so I'm gonna click on text aggregator. The created text string has one purpose: to bring together the required information from the multiple bundles and combine them into a single message. This string could then be used, for example, to send a message by a web service or SMS. All right, and then we have array aggregator. The purpose of the output of the array aggregator is to aggregate bundles or collections of data items into a single bundle. For example, having several inputs full of information and extracting only the information that is needed. In this example, it was name and dietary requirements. Array aggregators also have a target structure field that generates structures as expected for other apps that allow you to map arrays. For example, some email apps contain a to-email field where the email address output from an array can be mapped to. So the difference seems to be in what you're trying to do with the information. If you're trying to just aggregate it and put it in a string so you can send it to someone or use it in a different module, you would want to use the text aggregator. But if you want to put the array or specific information together and into a bundle that you can therefore do other things with, you would want to use the array aggregator. All right, click next, and that's the end of the unit. Cool. So now we should have a solid understanding of how to create a new array using an array aggregator, how to filter information from an iterator, and the difference between an array aggregator and a text aggregator. So yeah, the array aggregator is similar to the text or numeric aggregator, except with the array aggregator, we can actually do more stuff with the information that we're extracting from the source module. I could see this being useful in a bunch of different cases, especially if the aggregated information is not the end of the scenario and you need to do more things with the information or the items that you have extracted. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Next video, we're gonna be doing unit 4, which is iterator and aggregator use cases. And then we could probably finish up that video with the end of course assessment. And then we'll be on to the next course in the intermediate section. So if you're looking forward to that, stay tuned for the next video where we will be moving on to our next course. If you found any of this stuff interesting or you'd like to see more, please feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts, or hit that subscribe button. That's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys are all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.